Hello and welcome to the Outlaws of Thunder Junction semifinals. Packbeasts versus High Noon Goons. I'm Rev, and let's see how I opened. Alright, we see Villainous Wealth, Selvala, and Marauding Sphinx as the most clear first pickables out of this pack. Sphinx is of course very powerful, as is Villainous Wealth, but I think Selvala is a pretty clear first pick here. Of course, I'm not eager to potentially pass Villainous Wealth to the opposing team, but honestly, Selvala and Villainous Wealth are pretty comparable on raw power, and Selvala just costing essentially half as much while having immediate and significant board impact, potentially some ramping, going wide. It just does it all. Pretty happy to first pick it, despite it being a gold card. Followed up here, I think Consuming Ashes is probably a better pick one from this pack, but having just picked up Selvala, I am even more incentivized than usual to play green. Not to mention green creatures. And so Spinewood's Paladin, I think, is going to edge out Consuming Ashes in this case. On top of all that, Consuming Ashes being double pipped black when I already have a gold card that I'm pretty interested in playing. Seemed like a tall order, so. Definitely not the strongest pick too, but it's totally fine. Pick 3, we see a green-white desert, a Stingerback Terror, Holy Cow, Take Up the Shield are both, notable, but not pickable, I think. And once again, I'm not excited by any means to pass Stingerback Terror to the opposing team, but I just found it to be more important to find a game plan and build a deck as quickly as possible, especially in 6-person team draft pod. And if this had been any other desert here, I probably would have just gone ahead and taken the Stingerback and maybe looked to splash it, maybe not. But having Selvala as my first pick, taking the Creosote Heath here just feels like I am almost guaranteeing that I'm going to get to play Selvala. And on the flip side, Stingerback Terror, it's kind of a big flashy rare. In my mind, it's not that far from the Spinewood's Paladin that I picked 2. It's just to compare them, Spinewood's Paladin plots for 4 instead of 3, but it's in a much stronger color. First of all, that's another thing, is that I'm not super eager to get into rare, or super eager to get into red, excuse me. But on average, Stingerback Terror is going to be like, a 3/3, 4/4, 5/5 flyer, as opposed to the Spinewood's Paladin, which is always going to be a 5/4 trampler that gains you 3 life. So I think the difference between those cards is less than some people might argue. The only other pick besides the Patient Naturalist there might have been the Repulse, but I think Naturalist is just fine for the direction I'm headed. Sorry to use up all that pick time on the previous pick, but yeah, feeling pretty solid about my start. Pretty happy to play green. Pretty comfortable to play green, and doing a good job of trying to make my bomb rare work out. Unfortunately, we're drying up a little bit here. The only card for a straight green-white deck would be the Steer Clear that I just pulled up. But again, having picked up the Creosote Heath and a Patient Naturalist on top of that, makes me feel much more like I'm able to splash the white pip from the Savala if need be. So I don't feel that I need to take a white card here necessarily. And so I think just the strongest pick in this pack is going to be a Phantom Interference. Doc Warlock is just fine. The Dead Eye would be just fine, but again, I have no reason to get into red that quickly. So I'm just going to take the strongest card, I think, from that pack and see how it pans out. But then the green comes back here with the Hard Bristle Bandit and the Raucous Entertainer. There's also a Take the Fall in here, but again, I'm the most deep into green at the moment, and I want to make sure that I'm able to play my Selvala. It also ramps into a turn 3 Selvala, so that's certainly something that interests me at this point. Here we see another Naturalist. Strongest cards in the pack, other than that, are, I don't know, nothing else even stood out to me there, so just keep getting deeper into green and feeling pretty good about it. Obviously, would still like white to be my secondary color, but open to blue or any other possibility here. Nothing that I'm super excited to play here, so I just decided to take the 2-drop that can certainly run away with games. Here, again, there's Deadeye Duelist is probably maybe the best card in the pack. Sheriff is a playable white card, I suppose. That's why it gets pulled up here. I don't remember. Did I just take Reach for the Sky here? Or yeah, being the only green card in this pack, I've said before that card is not something I'm eager to play by any means, but it seems worthwhile to draft a, D+ level card there just to completely cut off green going to my left. Obviously nothing really hit pickable from that pack. And here, the Forsaken Miner is just fine, Skullduggery is just fine, but Doc Warlock seems to have the highest upside in this pack. It's a 2-mana 2/3, which is just fine, but I do also have this Phantom Interference that I wouldn't mind playing. I have and here comes the second Doc Warlock. Again, nothing really, the Duelists, I could have had a couple of them, but it's not really worth getting into red for by themselves. And then even getting a super late Raucous Entertainer. So I'm feeling pretty strongly about my spot here. Again, I'm still not, and then just a couple whatever black cards here to finish this out. Razzle Dazzler. I'm certainly seeing these Doc Warlocks on the wheel and thinking about the direction those could take me, but I don't think the card is strong enough to say at this point, okay, I'm definitely base blue. I would still love to be base white if possible. Certainly going to be looking to see if maybe white is a little more open. Going to the right in pack 2 here. And let's see. Commandeer is unplayable. Hollow Marauder is very strong. Take the Fall is pretty good. Gigapede's playable. Another Bandit here as well. Hollow Marauder is pretty clearly, the best card in this pack. Not even close, to be honest, in my opinion. And again, not committed to anything besides green at this point, so happy to pick it up here. And it's also pretty splashable itself, even if I do end up still being white or green-white. I have a couple Naturalists that can help me find black and put creatures in the graveyard. Blooming Marsh would certainly be nice here as a way to enable that splash. But again, my primary want going into this pack was to see if white was open, and getting past a Mystical Tether when I have basically no other, well, very little interaction at this point. As tempting as the Blossoming Marsh is there, I think a Mystical Tether is too important to pass up in this spot. Passing a Brigand, passing in Gigapede, I guess. Nothing that I'm super worried about. Right off the top, we see Mobile Homestead. We see a Lush Oasis, which I would be certainly very happy to play. Greed's Gambit is unplayable. There's a Crab there as well, but yeah, again, still trying to stay as open as possible. And the Mobile Homestead has proved to be a really strong piece of a green creature-based strategy. So I'm pretty happy to pick that one up here. Forlorn Flats is certainly interesting. There's a synthesizer there. Notably, Jailbreak Scheme, Mirage Mesa, Desert Stew. Certainly plenty of good cards in this pack. I think I go ahead and take the Grizzly here, just again knowing that I'm green and nothing else. I kind of wish, the white black desert is close. I just wish it was green white or green black, then I probably would have just snapped it up, but it being potentially double off color, it's certainly possible that the Mirage Mesa was the correct pick here. But again, Drover Grizzly has been totally fine in green-based creatures decks, and I am certainly lacking in some evasion, to just like close games out. So it seems like enough of a role player that I'm willing to take it there. Again, probably the way it ended up, I probably would have been happier just taking one of the deserts. Here, Raucous Entertainer, Decisive Denial. Jolene is probably the strongest card here, but I already have, I'm already kind of struggling to find my color identity a bit. And so throwing red into the mix doesn't seem very helpful to me at this point. Decisive Denial has not been something that I feel like I've needed to take highly, so I'm just going to take another green 2-drop here. And then get past the pick 6 Rise of the Varmints. If you've seen previous videos this season, especially the last match, our previous match against this very team, you'll know that I'm pretty happy to play that card and win with it. So that was, I think that was certainly the pick there. Previous experience could have certainly been coloring my decision a bit, but why shouldn't it, This was kind of a weird pick just because, obviously there are about 5 Is It Playables in here. I think if I were end up base blue, Take the Fall would be playable, but not even that good. Green doesn't have a ton of outlaws to set it off. So I end up just taking the only black card here, just to, send the signal that that I'm certainly not an Is It, and you guys feel free to snap these up all you want. Pick 8, we see the Free Strider Commando, and basically nothing else. it's a most of the time like 4 mana 5/5 suspend one, but knowing that I have 2 Dark Orlocks in the pile certainly makes it a little more appealing than it otherwise would be. Here we see the Greed's Gambit. Of course, nobody's interested in that. See a couple with the Neutralize the Guards and the Boneyard Desecrator are both, playable-ish, playable light. Pulverizer is decent. Again, Take the Fall, I would probably put in my deck if I were guaranteed to be base blue, but it still wouldn't be even that special here. And look at that! I end up getting the Mirage Mace on the wheel after all. So never mind. Forget everything I said before. I was totally correct. And then get the late decisive denial. The Tumbleweed Rising doesn't seem, it seems just fine for me, but I'm more interested in this at this point in getting as many creatures into my deck as possible after picking up the, we have Selvala and Rise of the Varmints here. So I'm not necessarily looking to play the Thunder Thief either, but it's, I think it edges out the non-creature creature just for that reason. And yeah, white was certainly not open. I picked up the second pick, Mystical Tether, and then it was very decidedly closed. And seeing all the blue cards that nobody was interested in, as well as the 2 Dark Orlocks from pack 1, makes me, leaning in the Simic direction, certainly at this point. That conclusion's going to be put to the test here a little bit as I see Roxanne Starfall Savant. Obviously it's a pretty big bomb, so I'm certainly not going to pass it. Trash the Town would be pretty good for me. Outlaw Stitcher would probably be okay. The Beastbond Outcaster would be good. Waste Gardener would be fine. Dance of the Tumbleweeds would be pretty good. But, yeah. I'm going to take Roxanne and not be super thrilled about it, weirdly. And a little fumble with the pack there. So I'm going to go ahead and count out the cards, make sure I'm still passing 13. So yeah, I'm not super happy about the Roxanne just because of the pull, the constraint that it's gonna likely put on my mana to try if I'm gonna try and get Selvala and Roxanne in there. So I'm certainly gonna be looking for a little more fixing in this pack. And here we see another Commando, a Loan Shark, Breaches, Slick Sequence, some more great Izzet cards that no one's gonna be interested in. But again, I'm with the cards that I've got, blue seems to be the most likely to be my second base color. And if that's the case, then I'm going to play at least one of the Dark Orlocks. And if that's the case, then I'm more happy than usual to put plot cards in my deck. And so, again, the Slush Oasis and the Oasis Gardener would both be very welcome in this deck. But because of all those reasons I just said, I'm just going to take the Loan Shark here and kind of lock in from this point. Weirdly enough, pack 3, pick 3, I think is where I really lock in exactly what I'm going for, what I'm looking to be doing. And that's, play Dark Orlock on 2, plot 1 or 2 things on turn 3, and then build a big board on turns 4 and 5. Hopefully cast one or both of my bombs at some point along the way. And yeah, finish them off with Rise of the Varmints and Raucous Entertainers. So yeah, knowing that's the plan now, and that I've got a Roxanne that I want to get into the deck, the Eroded Canyon seems almost necessary at this point. passing up a Lazav and some other Izzet stuff. Pack 3, pick 5, we see the third Loan Shark. And at this point, I feel like I'm sort of getting paid off for the niche little Simic plot deck that I'm building. Weird to say niche since that's like the WotC prescribed archetype for Simic, but it hasn't come together for me a ton. It hasn't come together this well for me very often in this format as a whole. So, yeah, a little surprising. There's another Desert Stew here, of course, but very unlikely. If I'm splashing anything, it's going to be Selvala and or Roxanne, and I really feel like I need some on-color interaction at this point, so the Jailbreak scheme seems just about perfect. And that's the last new card we're going to see. I think I'm doing just fine on playables at this point, though. And then this pack, we see, the Stitcher and the Outcaster both came back, and you can see me shaking my hands here. I'm a little frustrated that all these came back, all these really good cards for me that I'm likely not going to get another chance to draft here. But again, this the Gruul Desert after getting Roxanne seems way too important, and it just makes the double splash possibility that much more real to me. Here we see the Silver Deputy. Obviously would probably have been played with the somewhat tough mana base that I'm working on here, but having just picked up a couple deserts here, I'm not as worried about it. And Jin, obviously not a great card by any means. Oh, we see a late Crom here too, obviously. Once again, no one is playing Izzet, but I'm just going to go ahead and take it. So yeah, I was saying the Jin is obviously not a premium card by any means, but I do feel that my deck is lacking somewhat in top end and or evasion. And so it's usually just going to be, well, I say usually, it's very often, at least the way I'm building the deck, it's very often going to be 2 mana, 4/3 flyer, or suspend 1, which is a pretty playable Magic card, I think. And we wrap up here. I'm just going to go ahead and take the Archway, I think. Doesn't really matter. And then Late Sees the Secrets. Late-ish, I guess. Obviously, it's not super important to pick up. You took that, right? Let's take a look at the builds. Here's what I've got. Pretty much exactly how I was drawing it up in my head as we were drafting. This is Rob's Boros Aggro. Go wide with some outlaws kind of stuff here. And here's Alex's Orzhov Sack. Thanks very much for watching. Let me know what you think.
Sure, could happen.